Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will determine the strength of the rest of your life. You are at war every single day, not with people, not with the world, but with your own fear, your own doubt, your own excuses. And the only way you win is by reprogramming your mind to become a weapon of discipline, a weapon of focus, a weapon of absolute emotional control. This audiobook will break the weak patterns you've been living with and rebuild the mindset you need for battle. Because from this moment on, you no longer live soft. You think like a warrior. You act like a warrior. You become the war. Chapter 1. Kill the old mindset. You have to understand something right from the start. Your weak mindset wasn't born yesterday. It didn't show up out of nowhere. It was built brick, by comfort, by distraction, by avoidance, by fear. It was trained into you, conditioned into you, reinforced every time you chose the easy path instead of the right one. And now you have a choice. Kill the old mind or be killed by it. That's the key. The old mindset survives because you feed it. You feed it with hesitation. You feed it with excuses. You feed it with the same patterns you repeated for years. But you're here because you finally reached a point where you're done living at half power. You're done being controlled by old programming that was never meant to take you anywhere powerful. This is where the war begins. Not outside, inside. Let's start with the truth. Most people aren't stuck because they're incapable. They're stuck because they've never questioned the identity they carry. They cling to old labels, old stories, old limitations. They hold on to beliefs that were handed to them by parents, teachers, friends, or by their own fears. They say, "That's just how I am." But that's a lie. That's not how you are. That's how you've allowed yourself to be. And you have a choice right now to end that version of you. Look around you. Look at the people repeating the same loops every day, scrolling endlessly, complaining about everything, procrastinating on goals they swear they care about. They're not stuck because life is unfair. They're stuck because the old mindset keeps them small, keeps them predictable, keeps them safe. And safe is where potential goes to die. You have to see this clearly. Your life will never rise above the mindset you carry. If your thinking is small, your results will be small. If your thinking is reactive, your life will be reactive. If your thinking is built on fear, everything you do will be shaped by fear. But if your thinking becomes disciplined, your life becomes disciplined. If your thinking becomes focused, your actions become focused. If your thinking becomes ruthless, your results become unstoppable. You have a choice, and you must choose to kill the old mind before it kills your potential. This is where destruction becomes necessary. People want transformation without demolition. They want a new life while protecting the habits of the old one. They want strength while keeping their comfort. But destruction is the first step to transformation. You cannot rebuild a mind you refuse to break. You cannot create a new identity while clinging to the old one. You cannot rise while holding on to everything that keeps you low. So here's how you start the clean break. Step 1. Disrupt your routines. Your routines are the silent architect of your identity. If your routines are weak, you become weak. If your routines are chaotic, you become chaotic. So you must break the pattern. Wake up earlier. Train earlier. Cut the distractions. Interrupt the autopilot version of you that's been running the show. You have a choice. Keep living predictable or become someone powerful. Step 2. Remove your triggers. The old mind thrives on cues. Your phone, your habits, the places where you waste time, the people who drain you. You must remove what feeds the old identity. Delete the apps. Reduce the noise. Distance yourself from the voices that keep you average. It's not about being antisocial. It's about being disciplined. It's not about isolation. It's about focus. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. Step 3. Stop negotiating with your old habits. The weak mindset survives through negotiation. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. I'll try my best. This language keeps you trapped. The new mind does not negotiate. The new mind executes. The new mind decides. The new mind commands. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you weaken the old identity. Every time you act without hesitation, you starve the old mind. And every time you choose a harder path, you train the warrior mindset you're building. You have a choice. Kill the old mind or be killed by it. That is the foundation of your transformation. And you already know which choice leads to strength. But here's the real turning point. The old mindset doesn't die peacefully. It fights. It resists. It screams for comfort. It tries to pull you back into what feels familiar. And that's where most people break. Not because they're weak, but because they don't realize this resistance is part of the process. When the old mind starts fighting, it means you're finally threatening it. It means you're finally changing. That's the key. So breathe. Stay centered. Stay focused. You're not losing. You're evolving. Every day you show up with discipline, you're rewriting your identity. Every action becomes evidence. Every decision becomes a message to your mind. We don't live like that anymore. We don't think like that anymore. We don't accept weakness anymore. This is the war. And today, you just took your first step. You've killed the old mindset. Now let's rebuild the new one. Chapter 2. Control your inner battlefield. Chapter 2. Control your inner battlefield. Your mind is the first battlefield you ever walk onto. And most people step onto it already defeated. Not because the world beat them. Not because life was unfair. But because they never learned to command the only territory that truly matters. The space between their ears. The inner battlefield. The place where every victory is shaped long before the world ever sees it. Listen carefully. The battle is won in the mind before you ever take action. That's not motivational fluff. That's reality. That's the key. You have a choice to control the battlefield or surrender it. And every day, most people choose surrender without even knowing it. They wake up reactive. They wake up unfocused. They wake up chasing noise instead of controlling their thoughts. They let fear speak first. They let doubt sit in the commander's chair. They let impulses run the show. Then they wonder why nothing changes. But you're not here to stay the same. You're here to learn how to take command. You're here to reprogram your mind for war. The internal loss problem. Understand something. People lose internally before anything external happens. The failure you see in real life started inside long before it became visible. Goals don't collapse at the gym. They collapse in the mind the night before. Dreams don't die in the market. They die in doubt. Relationships don't break during the argument. They break during the silent assumptions that people never confront. The inner battlefield decides everything. You have a choice. Feed weakness or feed discipline. That's the key. And you don't need their permission. Not society, not your friends, not your fear. You command your thoughts. You command your actions. But command requires awareness. It requires engagement. It requires you to actually show up to your own inner war. Most people never do. They scroll. They numb. They distract. They react. They let their inner world run wild like an untrained animal. You won't win a battle with an untrained mind. Real examples of inner command. Look at peak performers in any field. Not for inspiration, just proof. Athletes don't step onto the field hoping they'll perform. They visualize every move before they ever commit their bodies to it. They rehearse wins in their mind. They see themselves execute under pressure. They condition their inner battlefield, so the outer battlefield feels familiar. Soldiers don't enter combat unprepared. They mentally rehearse scenarios repeatedly, not to scare themselves, but to desensitize fear and strengthen response. They know the mind collapses faster than the body, so they train the mind first. Entrepreneurs don't wing it. They strategize daily. They walk through outcomes, contingencies, failures, recoveries. They fight internal chaos long before they face external challenges. None of this is magic. None of it is talent. It is discipline. Discipline of thought. Discipline of internal rehearsal. Discipline of mental command. It's not about being fearless. It's about disciplining fear. It's not about being confident. It's about disciplining self-doubt. It's not about knowing the future. It's about disciplining your response. You have a choice. Let your thoughts control you, or take the commander's seat and issue orders, tools to command the inner battlefield. Command doesn't appear out of nowhere. You build it. You train it. You reinforce it. Here are 3 battle-tested tools you must integrate. 1. Mental rehearsal. Before anything important, rehearse the moment. Visualize the action. Picture the outcome. See yourself doing the thing you usually hesitate to do. When you mentally experience success, your brain treats it as a blueprint. This creates familiarity, and familiarity kills fear. Repeat it daily. Repeat it deliberately. Repeat it until the mind obeys. That's the key. 2. Emotional labeling. Most people feel emotions and drown in them. You won't. When anger rises, label it. When fear hits, label it. When insecurity whispers, label it. Emotional labeling pulls you out of the storm and puts you back in command. Say it, even quietly. This is fear. I see it. I'm not it. This is doubt. I see it. I'm not it. Awareness breaks control. Naming the emotion gives you space. Space gives you power. You have a choice. React blindly or respond with command. 3. Pause and command response training. This is simple. This is powerful. And most people never use it. Before reacting, you pause for 1 second. 1 breath. 1 moment. And you issue a command to yourself. Stand up. Move now. Stop overthinking. Stay calm. Execute. That 1 second pause interrupts the chaos. It reclaims the battlefield. It stops emotional takeover. And it trains your mind to obey your voice, not your impulses. You command your thoughts. You command your actions. Discipline is the weapon. Repetition sharpens it. The transition. Control your inner battlefield, and the external world stops being intimidating. You become stable. You become deliberate. You become dangerous in the best way possible, because you're no longer tossed around by emotion and chaos. You have a choice every single day, and now you know how to choose command. You took control of the battlefield inside you. Now, it's time to weaponize something even more powerful, your silence. Chapter 3, The Discipline of Silence. Chapter 3, Embrace discomfort as your training. Comfort is the enemy. Discomfort is a training ground. That's the truth most people run from. That's the truth you must run toward. Because comfort weakens. Discomfort builds. Pain sharpens. Pressure trains. Discomfort transforms. Repeat that in your mind until it becomes instinct, until it becomes law. Because that's the key. You have a choice. Chase comfort and stay soft, or chase discomfort and become unstoppable. You don't need their permission to choose the harder path. You don't need applause. You don't need approval. You only need discipline. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. It's not about confidence. It's about discipline. And discipline is born in the places most people avoid: difficulty, friction, resistance, discomfort. Most people spend their entire lives trying to remove discomfort. They avoid pressure. They step around pain. They escape anything that demands effort, sacrifice, or exposure. They think safety is the goal. They think ease is a reward. And they never realize what that safety cost them. Comfort breaks them slowly. Comfort kills their edge. Comfort dissolves their ambition. Comfort makes them weak in the moments that require strength. Listen closely. Pain sharpens. Pressure trains. Discomfort transforms. That is your mantra now. The two types of people. There are only two types of people in this world. Those who avoid pressure and those who use pressure. Those who run from discomfort and those who treat discomfort as a gym for the mind. Those who retreat and those who rise. The first group lives reactive lives. They stay in the shallow end. They never test themselves. They avoid confrontation. They avoid action. They avoid challenge. They are ruled by comfort, guided by fear, and shaped by weakness. They hope life gets easier because they are terrified of becoming stronger. The second group, they deliberately step into the heat. They put themselves under strain. They understand that discomfort is not punishment, it's training. They know stress is not the enemy. It's the sharpening stone. They walk into situations that force them to grow. They seek challenges that stretch them. They push into uncertainty until it becomes familiar. They treat adversity like resistance training for the mind. You have a choice every single day which group you join. And that choice determines everything. Why discomfort builds strength. Discomfort is not random. It's not pointless. It's a signal, a message, a teacher. Discomfort shows you exactly where you're weak, where you're scared, where you're unprepared. And that's the key. Discomfort reveals the work you must do. When you feel resistance, that's not a stop sign. That's a training cue. When you feel pressure, that's not a threat. That's a rep. When you feel pain, that's not failure. That's adaptation and progress. You don't grow when life is easy. You grow when the work is hard. You grow when you refuse to retreat. You grow when you choose the tougher road again and again. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about using it. The training protocol. How to build through discomfort. You must turn discomfort into discipline. You must turn discipline into habit. And you must turn habit into identity. Here is how you do it. 1. Seek the harder option. Every day offers two paths. The comfortable option and the harder one. Take the harder one. That decision trains your mind far more than the action itself. Wake up earlier. Lift heavier. Work longer. Make the call you fear. Have the conversation you avoid. Choose the option that forces you to stretch. Every time you choose difficulty, you tell your mind, I command you. Every time you choose discomfort, you strengthen your identity. That's the key. 2. Extend your discomfort time. Most people quit the moment discomfort begins. You won't. When you feel the urge to stop, stay 5 seconds longer, then 10, then 30. Extend your time in the discomfort zone intentionally. This is how warriors are made, staying in the difficulty longer than the average person. You don't need their permission to get stronger. You just need to stay in the discomfort long enough for it to do its job. 3. Perform daily adversity reps. Think of adversity like lifting weights. Small reps, daily reps, consistent reps. Put yourself through short, controlled discomfort every single day. Cold showers, hard workouts, mental challenges, disciplined tasks, difficult conversations. Stretching your limits until stretching becomes your default state. These adversity reps compound. They build tolerance. They build grit. They build a mind that refuses to break. You grow when you refuse to retreat. You grow when you move toward the discomfort instead of away from it. You grow when you remember, Pain sharpens, pressure trains, discomfort transforms, becoming the person who thrives under pressure. When you embrace discomfort as training, life no longer intimidates you. You stop fearing challenges. You stop panicking under pressure. You stop negotiating with weakness. You develop a mind that expects difficulty and responds with discipline. The world cannot break a person who trains in the fire. The world cannot intimidate someone who turns discomfort into strength. The world cannot stop someone who chooses adversity on purpose. You have a choice: stay soft or become forged. And now you know how to forge yourself daily. You're not running from discomfort anymore. You're using it. You're absorbing it. You're transforming through it. And this transformation sets the stage for the next weapon you must master: your identity. You embrace discomfort. Now it's time to reshape who you are at the core. Chapter 4. Build the identity of a warrior. Chapter 4. Eliminate weak language. Your words are not accidents. Your words are not harmless. Your words are instructions to your mind, and your mind obeys them whether you realize it or not. That's the key. Your language is programming. Your programming becomes your behavior. Your behavior becomes your identity. And your identity becomes your destiny. You have a choice. Keep speaking like the weaker version of yourself, or change your language and rewrite who you are. You don't need their permission to speak with power. You don't need approval to change your vocabulary. What you need is discipline. It's not about sounding confident. It's about training your mind with every sentence you speak. Weak language creates a weak life. Strong language builds a strong one, and you decide which one you live in. The truth about language and identity: most people never realize the damage their words do. They speak casually, carelessly, and unconsciously, and then they wonder why they never change. They wonder why they stay stuck. They wonder why they collapse under pressure. Listen to the weak phrases you hear every day. I can't. Maybe later. I'll try. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not good enough. These phrases are not neutral. These phrases are surrender. They are escape routes. They are pre-built excuses. And every time you speak them, you reinforce a weaker identity, an identity that hesitates, avoids, and cracks at the first sign of resistance. Weak language leads to weak action. Weak action leads to weak results. Weak results reinforce a weak identity. That's the loop. And the loop ends only when a language changes. Real-world examples of language that builds failure. Look at the people who struggle the most. Look at the ones who never start. Look at the ones who always quit. Listen to their words. I can't do that. Of course they can't. They already told their mind not to try. I'll try. Try is the language of failure. Try is hesitation disguised as effort. Try is the promise of nothing. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow is the graveyard where weak dreams are buried. I'm just not that type of person. That's identity level surrender. That's someone choosing limitation over transformation. You want to know why people stay small? It's not because of their lack of skill. It's not because of their lack of opportunity. It's because of their language. Their words handcuff them before life ever does. Your words shape your reality long before your actions do. Your language creates the frame your life must operate within. If the frame is weak, everything inside it collapses. The fix: replace weak language with warrior language. If your language programs your identity, then you must speak like the identity you want, not the identity you're trying to escape. This is where transformation begins. Not in the gym, not in the mirror, not in your goals, in your words. Here are the replacements that rebuild you. One, replace I can't with I will find a way. I can't is a dead end. I will find a way is a command. You don't need their permission to overcome obstacles. You decide to overcome them. That's the key. 2. Replace I'll try with I commit. Trying is passive. Commitment is active. I commit leaves no room for hesitation, no room for excuses, no room for escape. It forces your mind into execution mode. It pushes you from thinking into doing. 3. Replace someday with now. Someday is a vocabulary of procrastination. Now is the vocabulary of transformation. Everything changes when you stop negotiating with time, when you stop waiting, when you stop pretending you need perfect conditions. You move now because discipline moves now. 4. Replace I hope with I execute. Hope is not a strategy. Execution is. Hope waits. Execution acts. Execution builds. Execution transforms. 5. Replace I don't know with I'll learn it. Weak minds avoid responsibility through ignorance. Strong minds take responsibility for learning. You don't need to know everything. You need to be willing to learn anything. Why this matters. Your words command your mind. Say a weak sentence, and your mind softens. Say a powerful sentence, and your mind strengthens. Your words command your mind. Your mind commands your actions. Your actions command your life. This means your life follows your language. If you want a stronger life, you must speak stronger words. Words are not decoration. Words are direction. Words are discipline. Your vocabulary is your training ground. Your sentences are your reps. Every word is a signal. Weaken or strengthen, retreat or advance, quit or execute. You have a choice, and every choice shapes the next version of you, becoming the person who speaks with power. When you eliminate weak language, something changes inside you. You stop accepting excuses. You stop negotiating with your old identity. You stop letting your mind drift into softness. Your language becomes sharp. Your decisions become clear. Your identity becomes stronger. And when your identity strengthens, your actions follow. You begin to move differently. You begin to think differently. You begin to live differently. That's the key to transformation. Rebuild the language, rebuild the identity, rebuild the life. But now you must take the next step. You've changed your language. Now you must enforce that language with action. You rewrote your vocabulary. Now let's rewrite your behavior. Chapter 5. Train relentless self-discipline. Chapter 5. Build outputs, not excuses. You need to hear this clearly. Successful people measure results, not reasons. They measure what they produced, not what they intended. They measure what they built, not what they felt. Excuses are the enemy. Outputs are the weapon. That's the key. Every day, you have a choice. You can leave behind results or you can leave behind excuses. But you cannot leave both. You don't need their permission to produce. You don't need motivation to act. You need your standards, and you need the discipline to enforce them. This chapter is simple, but it's brutal. Stop explaining. Start producing. Stop rationalizing. Start executing. Stop telling stories. Start delivering results. Because the world rewards output, not opinions, not feelings, not explanations. Outputs build identity. Excuses destroy it. The truth, excuses are mental corruption. Excuses feel safe. Excuses feel justified. Excuses feel logical. But excuses are traps. They corrupt your thinking, weaken your confidence, and destroy your momentum. Excuses teach the mind one poisonous message. You don't have to follow through. And once your mind learns that message, it repeats it. It spreads it. It enforces it. You stop trusting yourself. You stop pushing yourself. You stop respecting yourself. That's the price of excuses. Every excuse is a negotiation with weakness. Every excuse is a vote for the weaker identity. Every excuse grows a part of you that breaks under pressure. You have a choice. Protect your excuses or protect your potential. You cannot protect both. High performers think differently. Look at the people who rise. Look at the people who dominate their craft. Look at the ones who progress even when others stall. They don't have fewer problems. They have fewer excuses. They don't escape obstacles. They outproduce them. A writer writes daily, even on the days they hate the blank page. Why? Because outputs are their weapon. A lifter shows up even when exhausted. Why? Because excuses don't build strength. Reps do. A worker delivers even under stress. Why? Because discipline beats comfort. Every time. These people have one thing in common. They don't negotiate with their standards. They don't say, I'll try. They say, I deliver. They don't say, maybe tomorrow. They say, I execute today. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. It's not about convenience. It's about commitment. It's not about motivation. It's about identity. That's the key. The shift. Build outputs daily. To become the person who produces results, you must build systems, not feelings. You must create outputs, not intentions. You must rely on standards, not moods. Here are the systems that ruthless performers use. 1. The 30-minute deep work block. No distractions. No scrolling. No noise. Just focused execution. 30 minutes of pure, uninterrupted work produces more than 3 hours of distracted effort. That's the key to consistency. Not intensity, consistency. Set a timer. Pick one task. Go to war with it. You have a choice. Drown in distraction or dominate in focus. 2. Zero excuse deadlines. Weak deadlines are hopes. Strong deadlines are commitments. Pick a deadline and attach consequences to it. Miss it, and there's a cost. Meet it, and there's a reward. You train your mind to understand. I follow through because that's who I am. Excuses don't survive inside a system that punishes them. 3. Daily non-negotiables. Not goals. Not dreams. Not wishes. Non-negotiables. 3 tasks. Every day. No exceptions. These tasks are not optional. They are not dependent on energy. They are not dependent on mood. You execute them because your standards demand it. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. Repeat that until it becomes your identity. Non-negotiables build trust in yourself, and self-trust is the foundation of execution. Outputs build momentum. When you produce consistently, something powerful happens. You begin to shift your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who delivers, someone who executes, someone who follows through, someone who finishes what they start. Outputs create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates identity. Identity creates transformation. And transformation creates results that excuses could never deliver. You want to become unrecognizable in 6 months? Focus on one thing, daily output. Not talking, not wishing, not planning, producing. The reality, no one cares about your excuses. People care about what you build, what you deliver, what you finish, what you produce. Excuses don't pay you. Excuses don't advance you. Excuses don't transform you. Outputs do. You have a choice. Stay in the cycle of explanations or step into the identity of execution. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's not about permission. It's about standards. And your standards will determine your destiny. Transition to next chapter. You've learned to build outputs instead of excuses. You've learned that standards beat feelings and execution beats intention. But now you need something deeper, something internal, because actions matter. But identity decides everything. Next chapter, rebuild the identity that cannot break. Chapter 6, Emotionless Execution. Emotions are powerful, but they are not reliable. They are not consistent. They are not loyal to your mission. And that's why you must learn the discipline of emotionless execution. Because the truth is simple. Your feelings don't get a vote. You have a choice. That's the key. You can let your mood run your life, or you can let your mission run it. You decide which one wins. Every time you hesitate, every time you overthink, every time you wait for motivation, you hand your power to your emotions. And emotions shift like weather. One moment you're calm, the next you're overwhelmed. One moment you want the goal, the next you want comfort. This is why successful people don't build their routines on feelings. They build them on discipline, on standards, on execution. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. You don't need emotional alignment. You need action. Look at elite athletes. They train whether they slept well or not. They train when their body aches. They train when the world isn't watching. They operate on schedule, not emotion. Why? Because they understand this truth. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do. That's the key. Look at soldiers. Soldiers don't wake up in war zones waiting for inspiration. They don't pause because they don't feel like it. They execute, tired or alert, calm or stressed, ready or not, because their mission comes before their mood. Their purpose is stronger than their feelings. That's the mentality you must adopt, not because life is a war, but because success requires the same precision, the same discipline, the same emotional neutrality. Emotion less, execute more. Look at leaders. The ones who actually build something, not just talk. They don't lead based on mood swings. They lead based on principles. Consistency, execution. They show up even when life punches them in the face. They deliver when the world doubts them. They push when their feelings scream, stop. Because they know feelings are temporary. Consequences are permanent. You have this power too. But first, you must stop negotiating with your emotions. You must stop letting "I don't feel like it" destroy your progress. You must stop giving excuses a microphone. If you keep waiting for the perfect emotional state, the perfect burst of motivation, the perfect mood, you will lose years, maybe decades, maybe everything. So we build systems that make action automatic, regardless of emotion. Start with no negotiation mornings. When the alarm hits, you get up. No snooze, no debate, no bargaining. Your first action of the day trains your brain who is in charge, you or your emotions. You want confidence? It starts there. You want discipline? It starts there. You want power? It starts there. You have a choice. Choose to lead yourself before the world distracts you. Next, embrace delayed gratification cycles. You want the dopamine? Earn it. You want the rest? Earn it. You want the reward? Earn it. Push the gratification to the end of the task, not the beginning. Your brain rewires itself when you delay pleasure. It shifts from craving comfort to craving completion. That's the key. It removes emotion from the equation and replaces it with performance. And here's one of the most powerful drills, the 10-minute extension. Whenever you want to quit, when your body is tired, when your mind is whining, when excuses start lining up, you extend your work by 10 more minutes. Not an hour, not a full session, just 10 minutes. Why 10? Because 10 minutes breaks the emotional resistance. 10 minutes teaches your brain that quitting is not your default setting. 10 minutes proves to yourself that you're in control, and those small extensions compound into massive resilience. Emotion less, execute more. This is how you train the mind to separate feeling from action. This is how you build a system where discipline replaces mood. This is how you eliminate emotional turbulence from your mission. You stop asking yourself, do I feel like doing this? And replace it with, is this aligned with my standards? And if the answer is yes, you do it. Period. Because remember, it's not about motivation. It's about movement. It's not about emotion. It's about execution. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. You have a choice. And every time you choose action over emotion, you win. The world is full of talented people who lost their own moods, full of intelligent people who waited for motivation that never came, full of capable people who quit the moment emotions shifted. Don't be one of them. Be the one who moves anyway, acts anyway, produces anyway. That's the key. That's the weapon. That's how you reprogram your mind for war. The more emotionless your execution becomes, the more unstoppable you become. You detach from fear. You detach from doubt. You detach from hesitation. You wake up every day and do the work, whether you feel like a champion or feel like a mess. Because you understand the principle. Your mission doesn't care about your mood, and neither should you. You've learned how to kill excuses. Now you've learned how to silence emotions. In the next chapter, you'll learn the final piece, the mindset that keeps you advancing when others fall back. Chapter 7, Become Your Own Commander. Chapter 7, The Warrior Identity You Never Break. A warrior is not defined by armor, weapons, or rank. A warrior is defined by identity, and the identity you choose will decide the life you build. You have a choice. That's the key. If your identity is weak, your actions will be weak. If your identity is built on validation, you'll chase approval. If your identity is built on discipline, you'll chase progress. And that's where your transformation begins, by understanding that your identity must come from your standards, not from their opinions. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. Every chapter before this one has prepared you for this moment. You've learned emotional control. You've learned pressure tolerance. You've learned disciplined execution. You've learned how to move without motivation. Now you put it all together. Now you build the identity that you never break. Because that's the truth. You become unbreakable by refusing to break. Identity is a decision. Identity is a commitment. Identity is a standard you follow even on your worst days. Think of the people you admire, the ones who stay solid under pressure. They didn't become unbreakable because life treated them kindly. They became unbreakable because life tried to break them and failed. They learned to breathe through chaos. They learned to act without fear. They learned to show up when everything inside them wanted to quit. And every time they pushed through, their identity hardened, their resolve sharpened, their foundation strengthened. It wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about talent. It was about discipline. Look at real resilience. It's forged in adversity, not comfort, not praise, not applause. A soldier doesn't become unbreakable from easy missions. A parent doesn't become unbreakable from perfect days. A leader doesn't become unbreakable from soft challenges. They become unbreakable from pressure, from struggle, from resistance. And they choose again and again not to break. You have that same choice. That's the key. No one can take it from you. A warrior identity is not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not emotional. It's consistent. It's controlled. It's quiet power. It's the refusal to be reactive. It's the refusal to be manipulated. It's the refusal to lose yourself to panic, fear, or praise. This is the identity no one can manipulate. Because when you control your reactions, you control everything. So here is your blueprint. This is how you build the identity you never break. First, you respond calm. Calm is strength. Calm is control. Calm is clarity. When others panic, you breathe. When others react, you observe. When others crumble, you stabilize. You have a choice to be chaos or to be order. Choose calm. That's the key. Second, you act consistent. Not sometimes. Not when you feel like it. Not when you're inspired. Every day. Every hour you need it. Every moment that demands discipline. Consistency builds confidence. Consistency builds identity. Consistency builds power. You don't become a warrior from one good day. You become a warrior from thousands of disciplined days stacked on top of each other. Third, you stay silent. Silence protects you. Silence strengthens you. Silence removes the need for validation. You don't broadcast your goals. You don't announce your plans. You don't perform for spectators. When your identity is strong, you don't need applause. You don't need approval. You don't need recognition. You move because your standards demand movement, not because someone is watching, not because someone is clapping. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. Fourth, you detach from praise. Praise is just as dangerous as criticism. Praise creates dependence. Praise creates ego. Praise creates expectation. You don't let positive comments inflate you. You don't let attention weaken you. You don't let compliments replace discipline. When praise comes, you stay centered. When praise fades, you stay working. When praise disappears, you stay focused. That's how warriors move. Fifth, you push forward every day. Not fast, not dramatically, not perfectly, just forward. One step, one task, one disciplined action at a time. Because momentum is built in inches, not miles. You become unbreakable by refusing to stop. You become unbreakable by advancing even when you're tired. You become unbreakable by saying, one more. When your emotions say, enough, put these 5 together and your identity becomes untouchable. No insult can shake you. No fear can stall you. No failure can define you. You don't rise and fall with emotions. You don't bend to pressure. You don't break under stress. You repeat your identity until it becomes your default. Calm, consistent, silent, detached, relentless. That's the key. And remember this, warriors are built, not born. They build themselves through decisions, through standards, through discipline, not feelings, not approval, not comfort. You have a choice. And every choice builds or breaks your identity. Choose what builds you. Choose what strengthens you. Choose what hardens you. Choose what advances you. You've reached the final lesson. You've built the mindset. You've built the discipline. You've built the emotional armor. Now you build the identity that carries it all. You now understand what makes you unbreakable. But to stay unbreakable, you must lead yourself with unwavering control. Closing. You've reached the end of this audiobook, but the real work starts now. You've learned how to kill the old mindset. You've learned how to control your inner battlefield. You've learned to embrace discomfort, eliminate weak language, and build outputs instead of excuses. You've learned to execute without emotion and build an identity that cannot be bent, broken, or controlled. Now you must decide, do you go back to comfort, or do you step forward into war? Because from this moment on, every decision you make is a declaration. Every action is a message. Every standard is a weapon. And every day is a battlefield where you choose who wins. The old you or the warrior you're becoming. Reprogram your mind. Sharpen your discipline. Execute without hesitation. And prove through action, not words, that you were built for war. Your challenge. Starting today, commit to one discipline, one discomfort, and one act of execution that moves your life forward. No excuses. No delay. No weakness. Go to war and win.